Hello everyone, I'm Jason Holden-Jones and this is the fifth and final round of the 2020.1 South African Sim YeloDesignCo series at Spa-Francorchamps. And a big hello to Daniel Haynes. Welcome, Daniel.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Good to have you back. And I can't believe it's the last race of the season. Well, of the GT season anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, we still have the last race of the GP season, I think, next week.
Yeah, only one more official race to go.
And yeah, and we've actually got the sign-up ready for the 2020.2 season already. That just went live about an hour ago. So,
I saw that. You've been busy in the background working out the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And together with Ryan Hill and Alan Patterson, we will be also league admins for 2020.2. And we've got a new league as well starting next season, the simiGTc series, the touring car series. And that should provide some fantastic racing for us.
So if we're lacking in rain this evening and a few big empty gaps, we can have something to talk about the season, the next season, and what's in store for it. Yeah,
there's plenty to talk about, and yeah, Alan and Ryan working hard behind the scenes, and the TC and GP series will be fantastic. Of course, we're running the GT series as well, of course, as we have it right now, and then we'll continue through 2020.2. And Wesley's telling me to speak up, so I'm going to turn up my volume a bit.
So plenty to look forward to in the next season, but I think we've still got a massive finale in the ACC GT3 for this season, this being the final race, and it's very interesting already. We've got 10 minutes left in qualifying, and we've currently got Bashir Jadwat in pole position with a 218.1, but he's been switching places throughout the qualifying session with Mark van Rensburg, so he's also very, very quick in the Bentley. Very interesting, the times, I have to say, because we've had a few races where the Porsche has pretty much been the car to have, and now all of a sudden the fastest Porsche is right way down in 5th position, Devon Lisher, and we're starting to see the AMG, Bentley, the old guys in the first round, if you think all the way back to Bathurst, how those cars dominated in that race, and now we're back at Spa, very, very quick track, of course, and it seems like there might be a turn of fortunes. So car selection is going to be incredibly interesting, but also what that means for our championship leaderboard and who's going to walk away with the ACC championship title for 2020.1. I think it's like a toying cost between Zahir Esser and Bashir Jadwat, but at the moment, Esser's all the way down in 10th place, somewhere we haven't basically seen him all season. So it's going to be very, very interesting what's going to happen in this race, whether we get any weather as well as ACC and what the ramifications will be. Jason will be furiously working away on his calculator, I'm sure.
Yeah, like what we had in the last GTC series race, our Assetto Corsa League, which saw Nick Hodgson and Devon Lisher tie the championship, believe it or not, with the same amount of victories and second places. The first time it's ever happened. And if anybody can just comment as to how my audio is it better now? Am I loud enough? I did make a change. But yeah, so we'll have a look at that throughout the race and get out our calculator and make sure we get that right. And,
yeah, it couldn't get any closer than the AC Division 1 of the last round. That was ridiculous, but I think it's pretty close now, isn't it? What's the points difference between Bashir Jadwat and Zahir Esser? It's only a few points, I believe. It's very, very close.
Because we've got two championships there to look out for. We've got the YeloDesignCo series, our Assetto Corsa Competizione leg of it, and you've got the overall with the two championships combined. So we're going to have a look at that later as well, and just keep everyone updated as we do that. So
apparently some comments in the chat that the Brit is still annoyingly loud compared to the Safa. So I'll give yourself a boost. Or give me a bump down.
Down a bit, yeah. So I don't know why we have these audio issues almost every stream, but anyway, maybe Windows is messing around a bit as well.
Yeah, I don't change anything my side. I don't think so. But yeah, sometimes that's the way it goes. Hopefully we get it right before the race starts. Still got 7 minutes of qualifying to go. Quite interestingly, I'm looking at the sector times, and I have been for the last, 10, 15 minutes during this qualifying session, and the one thing I found, I mean, it's actually changed now because Bashir Jadwat just put an even faster lap for pole position, 2:17.5. But before that, Jadwat was significantly quicker than every other car, and he still is in the middle sector. So that, and that he had pole position, but was not quickest in the first and final sectors. So obviously, if you know Spa, first and final sectors, if you're quick there and you're slow in the middle, that means you're running very low aero. So I think Bash has got a high aero package, or at least a higher aero package here. So it might be why he's so quick in that middle sector, but it might leave him a little bit open up the Camel Straight in the first few laps if he doesn't get a clean getaway. So something to look out for, just looking at the sector times. But as it stands now with Bash's fastest lap, he actually does just about hold the fastest sectors in all three, but only just. He's still significantly quicker in that middle sector by, we're talking 7/10 of a second. So that's where all his lap time is coming from, basically. That middle sector where you got some, you need some high aero there if you're not going to be lifting around Pouillon and the Campos section. So he's obviously gaining quite a lot there. Probably losing down Blanchimont and the Camel Straight.
Now the driver doing very well in qualifying this evening is Jan Spammers. He's right up there, and also newcomer Lionel Clue. I think it's his second race with us in ACC. So both of them the second race, I think, in ACC. So newcomer's doing really well right now.
Also, our joint winners of the AC GT Championship, Devon Lish and Nick Hodgson, still not being split by a lot when they change simulators. 6th and 7th place for them, right next to each other once again.
It's nice to see the McLaren on track as well. And quite a dark livery there for the 3 car. Looking gorgeous.
Yeah, stealthy black fighter that is, isn't it? It's a great looking car anyway, the 720S.
Lionel Clue, the big Bentley in the 107. Let's see what he can do this evening. He might just surprise us.
Yeah, Bentley looks strong tonight, doesn't it? We had, I mean, Mark van Rensburg, who's been driving the Bentley all season, hasn't been too complimentary about it in the last few rounds. Obviously loved it at Bathurst, but yeah, something to get on Spa. He's been driving the Bentley, and it's clearly a car that suits this track because he's been strong all qualifying session, and we got 2 Bentleys in the top 5. S has just suddenly popped into 3rd place. He was right down in 10th for such a long period. I was starting to get a little bit concerned there. So we've got Zahir Essa now in the Porsche, managed to get it up into 3rd position. 2:18.4, still nearly a second off Bashir Jadwat's pole time at the moment. So how many cars have we got on track? Let's have a quick look. 46. So quite a full grid, but they'll be spread out a little bit better on their Spa. Obviously a circuit that's used to big grids and endurance racing. Ideal for a 46 grid race. We're not talking Laguna Seca here again. Should be a little bit easier for front runners to get past the back markers.
Okay, we just got just under 3 minutes remaining now, and let's see who's Mark van Rensburg's in the pits. So is Devog now. It's just leaving right now. For sure, Jadwat's tried another flyer. It's got a half a second on Mark van Rensburg. So looking comfortable at the moment.
He has, but he's a couple of tenths slower in the final sector than Mark van Rensburg. So he's getting such a huge amount of time in the middle sector. Definitely think we want to look out for that in the first couple of laps, if it does stay the way it is. He's going to be a bit of a sitting duck on the straights. Quite a comfortable lead there, has to be said, by Jadwat. Only man in the 17s. To have a half-second lead for pole, that's quite a big margin with a 46th place grid. So he obviously had a very, very good lap. Times perhaps a little bit higher than what I was expecting, just going off of real-world times. But I think maybe time of day and track temperatures would have a significant effect on that. Speaking of time of day, what's the time of day changes for the race, Jason?
So qualifying is at 9 o'clock in the morning. It started. So it's about 9:45 on the server now. Then the race will start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and finish around 6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
With a
so
three
we're just
times
into sort of dusk time, I should imagine.
3 times time progression, yeah. An ambient temp of 28 degrees, I set it to, with 0.3 rain, 0.3 cloud cover, and randomness at 3. So should make for an interesting race.
I did check Spa, it rains all the time, doesn't it? It's basically 50-50 all year. Doesn't matter which month you pick, it's 50-50 whether you get a wet day or a dry day. So I have no idea what that means for Assetto Corsa Competizione, but it made me feel good anyway. So we've had a couple of throughout the season. We've had 4 races. We've had 2 completely dry races. We've had 2 races where you classify it more as drizzle, light rain, and nothing significant. I wouldn't have said enough to get you nervous and certainly get some people changing tyres, but equally not enough to properly cause an issue. So we'll see what this last race brings. And that's the time over in qualifying. So Bashir Jadwat looks set to have pole unless the only one's finishing laps. But I think, 2:17.565 is the pole time for this evening. Good, healthy lead over second place, Mark van Rensburg. Zaire Essa, who's championship contender in 3rd.
Yeah, Essa's just started a flying lap now. Let's see if he spoils the party for Jadwat. He's going up the Kimmel Straight.
He's got to gain. What's he got to gain? He's got to gain 8.5 tenths off of his best lap. Would be a major increase after a 45-minute session, but if anyone can do it, it's Zaire Essa.
Let's go on board with Essa now. Let's see if he can pull it out the back. But 9 tenths is a tall order.
Wouldn't quite ride him off yet, for sure. Maybe not for the pole, I'd be very surprised there. But in the race, the Porsche might not be the best in a hot lap situation, but that means nothing over 90 minutes, really. Especially if you throw in a few events, or perhaps a little bit of weather, anything can happen.
Going through turn 13, 14, 15 now. This is the Campex corner complex. And then onto Stavolo, of course, a tricky right-hander off camber and the braking. Back on the power now, getting good drive now through turn 16. Oh, and Essa actually abandons that lap, deciding it's not worth it to carry on.
Obviously looking at his delta, wasn't he? You're not going to gain much down Blanchimont if you get a bad exit. So that's the end of qualifying. Jadwat has it. 2:17.565 pole position.
A fantastic performance there by Jadwat in the 80k outfit. And Mark van Rensburg, good half a second down. And while the drivers get ready for the start of the formation lap, we're going to take a short break. And look, Daniel, it started raining on the server just as you want. But we're going to be right back. Hello everyone and welcome back to a wet Spa-Francorchamps. So that's thrown a span in the works for everybody. You can see all the cars and the jacks, everybody trying to change tyres as quickly as possible and get their setups loaded for the race.
Imagine the panic on the starting grid after a very sort of normal qualifying session.
It's quite a surprise because the qualifying and race has been set on the same day, so this weather's come in sort of midday, obviously with a clear morning, and now the rain's come through and caught everyone by surprise.
And it's a proper wet track as well. I mean, I'm looking at the starting grid. It's wet this time. I think this could be a completely different race to what we thought it might be. Actually, Jadwat got his pole position, but as soon as you start on a wet track, that changes everything. Of course, if there's spray, he's going to be better off at the front. So he gets us underway on a parade lap.
So all the drivers need to maintain single file now along the on the whole track, and drivers will be trying to get a feel for the conditions, and all the cars limited to 90 kilometers an hour.
This is the wettest we've had all season. I mean, even at 90 kilometers an hour, we've got significant spray off the back of the cars. I mean, we're talking wet tires for sure now.
And this is typical Spa, isn't it? Catch everyone by surprise.
It'll be sunny in 20 minutes, then we'll have a bit of snow in an hour, then some hail. That's what Spa's like, isn't it? That's why we all love it.
Now they talk about something like 7 different weather systems around the circuit.
It's almost as bad as Cape Town.
Yes. And it's definitely showing right now.
Craig Clarson's popped in towards the end in 4th position. I didn't see him previously that high up, so he had obviously had a bit of a late flyer in qualifying. 12 now was always quite high right from the start. Jan Spammer's dropped back a bit because he was in 3rd at one point, you mentioned. So but quite a mixed top 10. And it really could be anyone's game now with this wet. So it'll be very interesting to start. Going through Eau Rouge for the first time in the wet after a dry qualifying is not ideal. Hopefully we can get through there cleanly and not have a repeat of the 1998 Formula One race we were reminiscing about earlier. That huge pile-up with David Coulthard. One of the best F1 races I can remember.
So the drivers will be moving around the circuit left to right, trying to get a feel for where the pedals are, how wet the surface is, and how the tyres are reacting to the inputs. But they're going pretty slowly at the moment, so not too much feedback at the moment, but certainly those first couple of laps are going to be very interesting. And it's going to be very interesting to see who can actually keep it on the black stuff.
I mean, in some ways, I mean, the last 2 races, the 2 races in this season when we've had a rain shower, it's come completely from surprise in the middle of the race. And we had a lot of sort of panic pit stops, people going late, not deciding what tyre to go. But at least everyone gets to pick their tyres from the start here, don't they? So you've got no one really to blame. I imagine everyone's on wet tyres to start. Any strategy you may have had before the race has gone out the window. I know you've had 2 practice servers on, one with all weather and one with dry, so yeah. I'm sure people have practiced quite a bit of wet driving, especially with it being Spa and the likelihood of that being the case.
Yeah, we run the 2 servers just to keep a dry server, and everybody can just try and get used to the limits of the car and sort of better conditions. And then we run the weather practice server as we call it, to just get an idea for what the service settings are for the actual race.
Yeah, it's a great idea, isn't it? Sometimes you just want to practice your hot lapping, but equally for race practice, the weather one's ideal, because I mean, it's the only way you're going to get this sort of practice. We'll figure out who's been on that server more than the dry weather server in the first few laps of this race, I think.
Yeah. So great to see 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. Mercedes-Benz, from Bentley, from Porsche. So the Brit very much in the German sandwich there, as you said. And
and then you got Aston Martin in 5th and McLaren in 6th. So we really have got a good mixture there. 2 Mercs. Tadbrock comes around the bus stop chicane into the final. Or we got to go. Where's the start line on this one? Is it here? It's on the endurance side.
Next straight,
Yeah.
It's always confusing.
You've got two start lines on this track.
You can even see that the set of start lights, yeah.
It's the GP finish line, isn't it? They've just crossed. Here's the GT3 and endurance line coming up.
Jadwat approaching the start line now. Almost there. And watch Mark van Rensburg. Let's see if he can match the grunt of the Mercedes-Benz of Jadwat now. The Porsche of Essa there, of course, in third position. Also very quick down the straights. But off we go now. 3-0 reach for the first time.
I'm looking at Jadwat because I think he's going to be slow down the straights. I think he's running lower aero unless he changed it for the race. Certainly in qualify, he's definitely on a low aero package.
Big wobble there from Jadwat, but he hangs on to it. Same for Van Rensburg. And no one looking very aggressive at the moment. Under braking we go now.
Just checking the back of the field. Looks like everyone's got through safely, which is great to see for Eau Rouge in the wet.
So everyone behaving themselves very well in these tricky conditions. Great driving by everybody. These are the driving standards we come to expect at SimRace South Africa, and it's showing here tonight.
Yeah, right through the back of the field as well. Not a single issue. See, Jadwat's high aero here. He's putting away in this middle sector. He was so quick in qualifying. Not 100% sure whether that correlates to the wet weather. We've got Essa up the inside of Mark van Rensburg.
Oh, Van Rensburg had a big tank slapper. Essa runs wide too there, Daniel.
Followed each other.
Quay Claessen's also running wide. There's a Diebold now, I think, snuck through in the Aston Martin. He's right behind Essa now.
I think Van Rensburg missed his braking point and Essa followed him there. Pouillon's such a tricky corner, relies a lot on aero, obviously. Jadwat got through nicely, and that's exactly what he wanted. He's already stretched a little bit of a gap here.
So great driving by everybody so far. Not many position changes at all, if any.
Yeah, we've got Claessen's dropped a place. I think, was it DeWald now was behind Claessen's. Claessen's was in fourth position.
So Jan Spammers now.
Managed to keep theirs.
Jan Spammers now under pressure from Lionel Clue. Oh, Spammers runs wide.
I think Spammers switched with Langenveld as well from qualifying, so there's a position change. Langenveld's putting pressure on Claessen's now.
Spammers under pressure from is that Nick Hodgson.
Spammers dropped right back, isn't he? He's got Hodgson and Lisha. Hodgson and Lisha will go around all evening together. They're side by side with Spammers going into La Source. That's not where you want to be. 3 wide. Lisha's the bravest on the brakes. Spammers up the inside. Spammers has got it on the inside of Lisha.
Oh, contact.
A bit of a tap there.
Bit of a hip and shoulder there from Lionel Clue.
Oh, this is going to be dangerous up Eau Rouge. They've managed to go into single file. Very wise decision there by the drivers. You don't want to be. Spammers has gone wide, missed Eau Rouge. I wonder whether he gets a slow down penalty or a penalty there. He probably can't do that too often. I wouldn't have thought an ACC.
Hodgson all over. Who is that? I think it's Lisha in the pink Porsche.
Yeah, Lisha loves pink cars, I've been told. He's going to pick pink from now on. Great driving from those guys. No one had an accident. It looked very ominous through Eau Rouge. Meanwhile, at the front, Mark van Rensburg's managed to stretch a little bit of a gap between Essa, and he's trying to track down Jadwat. This is Jadwat's favourite sector. Oh, now, DeWald now's just taken a spin.
Okay.
Who's gone past him?
Yes. Spammer's involved there as well, it seems. He also rejoins.
Now trying to rejoin. He's in the middle of the track. He's lost a lot of places there. Murray's gone past. Rudy Murray's gone past. It's going to take up the inside of Heineke. It's a great tight little battle here. Sterner in there as well.
Ooh.
Sure, there's like 6 cars, 3 abreast with Rudy Murray, Heineke and DeWald now. Bit of a train here.
Yeah.
All as a result of DeWald now spinning.
Oh, on board with Nell there for a second. He's run wide.
Facing the wrong way on the track, which probably put them all off.
Back to our racing leader now, Bashir Judd Watt leading Mark van Rensburg by almost 2.5 seconds. Things going well here for Judd Watt. Just the start he would have wanted.
Hodgson and Lisha, they're just destined to race each other. They were in 2 by 2 into the bus stop chicane. Hodgson comes out better, but those two you can't split them all season in AC, and it looks like they're carrying on the last race here. It's brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. And they've got Lano Cree there for company in the Bentley.
Okay, so we've got rain, but there's definitely a driving line on track, isn't it? There's not a significant amount of spray. So I think conditions are not too bad, to be honest. Only a spray when they go off the racing line.
Yeah, it's certainly not undrivable. It seems pretty comfortable out there.
Yeah, I don't think drivers will mind this too much, and obviously if the rain stops and it starts, you get a dry line, they'll be very quickly thinking about coming in and changing back to their normal strategy.
Great fight here going on with Chris Heineke and Rudy Marais. Mercedes-Benz leading the Aston Martin. And Heineke just getting away there from Marais.
Heineke's gone wide there. Marais going to get him up the inside.
Side by side now, but Heineke gets the better drive. Going up to the corner that everyone seems to be struggling with at the moment. This long left-hander, Pion. But those drivers do pretty well through there this time around.
That's such an easy corner to go wide in the dry though, isn't it? Because you're always pushing the limit of traction there to try and carry as much speed through it that it's not surprising in the wet that we've seen quite a few sail wide at Pion. Rudy Marais obviously decided not to change his car. He was thinking about moving to the Audi, wasn't he? And now he's stick with the Aston Martin.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Now it's in wet weather. I think he'll be pleased with that decision because I think that was his main concern with the Audi.
Yeah, I did remind him that if he does change cars, he would lose all of his points. So maybe they changed his mind for whatever reason.
I don't think it was the points. I think it was the Audi was terrible in the wet.
Okay.
Like, oh, I don't really like the Aston, but at least it's easy to manage in the wet. And he's benefiting from that now, isn't he? So maybe a bit of an inspired decision to stick. Actually, Jadber's not running away with this, you know. Mark van Rensburg is not at all far behind. They just come through La Source.
Oh, contact there. Marais just tagging Heineke, I think that was. And, is Marais going to wait for Heineke? It doesn't look like it at this stage.
I missed that one. Are we going to be doing a steward's inquiry to that?
Could be. If Heineke doesn't like that, then I'll be having a look at that during the course of the week. Let's see how we go.
Fisher and Hodgson up the Camel Straight, like a fag paper's distance apart, going in 2 by 2 in their combs.
Yeah. I think it's time I start doing some maths to do with our championship standings, because I've got an idea these two are on for the overall victory for SSMGT.
Yeah, they may be having a little battle of their own for the overall GT victory.
So I'm going to go and start working things out that side.
Various level of points of that as well. It can't be. No chance. Everyone going wide through Pouillon here, so it's definitely struggling for traction, but I think it's a corner where you get a little bit let off for going wide, to be honest, so people are going to push it.
Fantastic racing between these two. Lisha trying to start up Hodgson each corner, and Hodgson countering. A lot of respect being shown there. It's lovely to... Whoa, as I say that, Daniel. Hodgson
I can't
is
believe
just...
you did that, Jay. I can't believe you placed the thing as their side.
That was all me.
Bit of loving his racing, tapping there, mirrors exchanged. I think there might be a bit of pink paint on Nick Hodgson's car after that one. They should have got the rough end of the stick there, I'm afraid. Very side by side there. Couldn't really put blame on who hit who. You drive that closely for long enough, you're inevitably going to have Sterner's trying to make a move on Lisha now. Sterner has got past Lisha into the bus stop chicane. So it's cost Lisha a couple of places. Lisha's now coming into the pits. So I wonder what Lisha's thinking in here is then coming into the pits so early. I don't think he's got that much damage to repair. What tyres does he go on? Rain looks a bit lighter to me than it was at the start, but I'm the worst weatherman ever, so I wouldn't go anything on what I could suggest. It is a shame we can't tell what tyres they're on. Hopefully that gets added at some point somehow.
Watching Essen now all over the back of Christopher Langenfeld. Huge fight here for third position. Langenfeld seemed to come from nowhere. I'm not sure where he qualified, Daniel, but he's right up there now.
Yeah, they were. I was watching them earlier. They were close, but Essen was ahead of Langenfeld. Essen was going a little bit wide in Puyon quite often, but I don't know what. Obviously, they've switched places now. Just trying to fight his way back again. ACC, I have to say, looks amazing in the wet. Really, really does look good. Just to help me, Jason, on the timing leaderboard, what's the F key to get the deltas to show up again? I don't seem to have.
It's just trying to think now. I've got a German keyboard, so my keys are different to yours.
Oh right.
I think it's a delete key. The ones above your arrow keys, the 3 arrow keys. One of those.
Yeah, it's insert. Okay, cool.
Insert.
Brilliant.
There we go.
What's insert in German?
Insert. I've got Inferno here, which means delete normally. Anyway, all good. So great fight here between S and Langenfeld. It rages on. Just over 1 hour and 17 minutes remaining. It's 2 o'clock in the game. Dare I say in the game? In the simulation, should I say, I suppose. So these two come past Devon Lisha, who's just exiting the pits.
Yeah, he was ages in the pits, wasn't he, Lisha? I mean, that's not... Is he still just coming out of the pits?
Yeah. I'm not sure if he forgot to do something his last stop and needs to do it again.
Something's strange there. S is going all over the place. He completely missed O'Rouge and he's just spun.
Yeah. Wow.
Coombs, he's just spun. He's across the grass now. He's facing the wrong way. He's all over the place in that Porsche. Unfortunately, struggling to get back on track. Hodgson's just coming through now. Clue's also going to take him. So this is very interesting, bearing in mind the championship position, which I'm sure you're furiously calculating away. You've got Bashir Jadwat. He's got pole and he's still in the lead of this race. And S has moved down. That'll put him into 7th position, I believe. Significantly less points. But the rain's getting lighter, I think. I'm pretty sure the rain's getting lighter. We could be having a dry track for the end of this race. Got Henry Roux coming into the pits as well. Maybe a few drivers are thinking about changing tyres. Going on to the dry tyres, because no significant spray. Although I see with Henry Roux, his Aston Martin is not particularly clean, so might be another reason for coming into the pits. Didn't quite catch an instant with him. We've got Edric Governor also in the pits. There's a few cars coming into the pits now. Neil Berg has been in the pits. Crew Camp's been in the pits. 5 or 6 drivers have been through the pit lane. Bashir Jadwat's in the pits. Mark Brown Rensburg. Everyone's coming into the pits. The track's drying. They want to changing tyres. So they want to get onto those dry tyres, I believe.
Big strategic moves being pulled now.
Yeah, we saw some of the few back markers coming into the pits early, but now we got the leaders in. You know, the track is certainly dry enough to take a different tyre because they wouldn't be coming in otherwise. We're only 15 minutes into this race. Hour and 15 to go. Furiously calculating fuel, I should imagine, as they're driving around. Will they be in that? Will they be able to get to the end of the race without another stop?
Yes, they should be able to. I would imagine so.
So will they have practiced their cars with this amount of fuel in it? Is the next thing. I would gather that guess that a few of them haven't fueled this highly.
So interesting enough, now Kieran Patterson has stayed out, so he's now leading the race. And he's taken
the whole field in on the same lap, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, so they know something we don't here.
Yeah, so he's taken the gamble to stay out. And let's see if this gamble pays off for him.
Keep an eye on lap times.
Or will he come in now? So every driver must do 1 pit stop in this race. It is mandatory. And you can see who's done a pit stop and who hasn't by looking next to the name on our timing tower. Next to the race number. So for Kieran Patterson, it's the number 123. That's his race car number. Then you'll see a little 1 there in that brown block. And if it's a 1, that means he still needs to do his pit stop. And if it's a green block, like what we see for Jadwat, that means that the pit stop has been done.
So keeping an eye on lap times. Jadwat, his fastest lap of the race was the 2:29.1. So just keep a mental note of a 2:29.1, and now he's got a dry tyre on. The track looks dry, doesn't it? It looks very dry. There's a definite dry line. Just spitting with rain now. So I'd expect lap times to come down significantly. We're more than 12 seconds off of qualifying time. So that's Jadwat's best lap time of the race so far.
Okay, so this pit stop story now early on has really messed up my championship calculations, so I think I'll just wait a while for things to calm down.
Yeah, Patterson's just gone off before he went into the pits. Took a very different bus stop chicane to the one that's actually designed.
Okay.
But he's managed to get into pits, so maybe his tyres were properly cooking by the time he got there.
Lawrence Stern also comes in there from second. Odysseanus Kraling also comes in.
Well, I've got no rain on my screen now, so the rain is completely and utterly stopped. So that was the reason for the pit stops from everybody.
So it was definitely the right decision to come in when they did. And the drivers who stayed out, they'll be paying for that now quite heavily, I would imagine.
Yeah, Jadwat's looking quick already. Huge dry line on the track now.
So Shiraz Dada stayed out. He should now be our new race leader in the big yellow Bentley.
Yeah, he's going to want to get off the racing line, which is completely dry, and try and keep his tyres roughly cool. Jadwat's just coming around the bus stop chicane now. Down to La Source, and we'll see him cross the line, and we'll just keep an eye on that lap time. I suspect his first flyer, even highly fueled, could beat his existing best from this race, 2:29.1.
So Shiraz Dada enjoying a glory run here, leading the race, and why not?
Yeah, how long can you keep it? Let's see.
Yeah.
go until there's no rubber left on those rims. Just run it on the steels.
Big understeer there for the Bentley as well. You just saw in that shot in the 22 car.
Yeah, tyre pressure just must go through the roof if you're running wet on dry track. And as we know with the Assetto Corsa, tyre pressures are probably the most important spec for lap time. Very, very sensitive on tyre pressures.
Back now with Jadwat, currently in second position, 20 seconds behind Shiraz Dada. But that gap will be coming down all the time. And then we've got Mark van Rensburg there in third. He's 6.5 seconds behind Jadwat. And
this is still in seventh, but he's got 2 non-pitters in front, so maybe net 5, would I say? Net 5 he should be. So before we entered this race, the current leader of the championship standard, was it Esser or was it Jadwat? I think possibly Jadwat still had a small margin.
So at the moment is Jadwat leading the championship by 2 points ahead of Esser.
So that's all that Jadwat, all he needs to know is if he finishes ahead of Esser, he's got it then, hasn't he?
Yeah, so that's 144 points ahead of 142. Yeah.
Calculate.
Yeah.
As long as Jadwat's ahead of Zaire Esser, he's got the championship.
And Divav now is in third position in the championship with 131 points. Going to in 10th position. Devonish in 4th. And Craig Claasen's in 5th position.
So we've got Jadwat, who's gone through a significant amount of traffic on this lap. So I'm just checking, just waiting for him to cross the line as he comes through La Source to see how much quicker these dry tyres are from a 129. Oh, 126.7, 3 seconds quicker, and he went through about 5 or 6 back markers as well. So flying now. So anyone that hasn't changed, obviously, they've got to get them changed straight away because we're talking 4 seconds instantly.
Bleeding time all the time. Yeah. Another driver who hasn't stopped it is Sas van der Vestes in there in 6th position in the 91 car. Jadwat actually moving side to side, trying to get some heat into that Mercedes-Benz's tyres.
And yet his first lap was already 4 seconds quicker than his previous best, so it's going to be coming down all the time. 2:30 and it's still pretty dark out, lights on all the cars. You've been to Spa, haven't you, Jason?
Yes, I went for the WEC 6 hour. I think that was
with you, I imagine.
4 years ago, so no, we actually had very good weather, thankfully, that day.
But you still took a raincoat?
Yes, I did, of course.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite a hectic day. We drove up from Stuttgart the day of the race. So 8-hour drive to Stuttgart, watched the race for 6 hours, and then an 8-hour drive back. So that was pretty intense.
It's in a nice part of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Countryside as well.
The forest town.
Not a bad place to go to.
Yeah, we did a hike around the circuit itself, and it's absolutely fantastic. Watching the cars from all the different angles and talking to people along the way, and it was magical. Yeah.
When it was first built, it was a little bit like a Nürburgring situation where you used to go through all loads of villages, a massive, great big track, massive speed track before it became like the closed circuit it is now. One of the fastest tracks in Europe, apparently. I think they had too many deaths even in the early stages where the cars weren't even quick, so got changed quite quickly.
Sas van der Vestes in 91, Aston Martin still on the wet tyre.
Another 3 seconds off Bashir Jadwat's time.
Just run off the track now.
So within 2 laps, Bashir Jadwat's beating his best time by 6 seconds. So the track really coming to them now. This will actually favour Bashir Jadwat as our pole sitter, obviously. Got to feel like it probably favours Esser a little bit as well, because he doesn't seem to be a fan in the wet, does he?
No, doesn't seem comfortable at all. Let's go have a look at Nick Hodgson. He's challenging Essa. Just 4/10 of a second in it for 6th position.
Obviously, we'll get your calculator back out to work out the overall GT champion. That's probably a real... You'll need to use your scientific calculator for that one.
Yeah.
If it was between Nick Hodgson and Devon Lisher, then Devon Lisher is right the way back in 29th position at the moment. And something strange happened there with the pit stop. Either he went in pits twice, forgot tyres the first time or something. But there was no way he should be coming out the pits when we saw him after, I mean, it was an age that he was there. We've got him a lap down on the timing sheets from our leaders. I think Shiraz, our leader, is hoping his Bentley grows some new tyres on its own and then he doesn't have to pit, because he's enjoying his time leading this race. And who can blame him in the Bentley? But he's got Jadwat only 8 seconds behind him now and catching rapidly. I mean, Jadwat's catching him at about 4 seconds a lap currently. So he's only going to be enjoying the lead for 2 more laps at the most. Maybe he'll just pit before Jadwat gets the pleasure of overtaking him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hodgson all over the back of Essa, trying to go on the outside on the approach to the chicane, but Essa wasn't having anything of it. And so Hodgson will have to try again. He's fallen back from Essa. See if we can get that gap back up the Camel Straight in the slipstream.
Yes, we've got Lisher behind Hodgson, but he's a lap down. So, yeah, definitely something funky went on with Lisher's pit stops. I think he went in twice. We'll find out afterwards what happened there. A lot of guys taking quite a liberal approach across the curbing at the top of Eau Rouge, or Adion, or whatever you want to call that section, before people start commenting. I don't know what the corner cutting or slowdown rules are set on server, whether that's an issue if you do it repeatedly.
Yeah, I think it's 3 or 4 times and then you get a drive through.
Yeah, it might be when we were watching that towards the end of the race, because I've seen a lot of people skip that. A bit more understandably in the wet, but also this lap as well. Now we're in the dry. If we start getting slowdowns or drive-throughs there, that could be interesting. It's very easy to do, obviously. Trying to go flat through Eau Rouge, obviously.
So great fight this between Hodgson and Essa, still going at it. And Essa just not able to get away.
Yeah, Hodgson has to be battling someone at all times, doesn't he? Otherwise he's just not interested. He's had more wheel-to-wheel action this season than any other driver I've seen, as Nick Hodgson. Struggle to go around the outside of the bus stops though. Essa's got the inside line, and that will always win there. In fact, he loses more time than he gains there, Nick Hodgson. He probably shouldn't. I think he did the same in the previous lap as well. Unless you can get the inside line, you've got pretty much no chance, especially against an avid racer such as Essa. He knows the story there. Cover the inside. So Jadwat's just about caught our leader. who I suspect will be piling into the pits. He's gone wide actually, and Jadwat's just got him. So Jadwat takes the lead of this race once again. So closest battle in the top 10 is Nick Hodgson and Essa. Hodgson's all over the back of Essa, has to be said. Enjoying this race in his Aston Martin. Probably a little bit more than Zyra Essa in the Porsche, I would guess. I've been so used to seeing so many Porsches in the top 10, and Zyra Essa is the only one in the top 25. I do like the fact that different manufacturers are better at different circuits, as it should be. Don't really see that as much in AC, possibly because your BOP figures work so well. But yeah, it really should be that a completely different characteristic track should suit other cars, and we're seeing that here this evening, aren't we? So the last few races dominated by the Porsche. I mean, even we have the top 3 Porsche at Laguna Seca, something along those lines, and now the Porsches are nowhere to be seen. Devon Lisher is the first Porsche after Zyra Essa, who's in 27th position.
So on board now with Hodgson. Looking again on the outside in the chicane. Oh, he's run wide. He runs deep. It'll cost him. I think another strategy for Hodgson, perhaps, Daniel, is just to tuck up behind him, keep as close as possible through this section here.
Yeah,
through the source.
Yeah. He's trying to pass on the outside of the bus stop. Just because you can get level doesn't mean you're going to make it. You lose more time than he gains. I love the comment in chat from Matthew Boy, though, Nick Hodgson teammate, that Nick Hodgson does not believe in social distancing. And we've certainly seen that in the last few races from Nick Hodgson, and again this evening here.
Because this is where Nick needs to be right behind Essa through Rouge here, and then try and get the slipstream up the straight here.
He's mighty quick in the middle sector, and he loses it every lap trying to dive bomb on the bus stop. But Essa's wiry old fox. He's never going to let you get the inside line there. So, like you say, best to tuck up behind. And then, yeah, try and use the draft down the Camel Straight. Sector, Nick Hodgson is glued up the back of Zyra Essa. I think it's just too tempting for him when he gets up the side through Blanchimont to not try his best in the bus stop. But when it's not worked for you 3 laps in a row, you go and get nicely out of the way of these two. If it's not worked for you 3 laps in a row, you want to try something else, Nick Hodgson. So let's see what he does here. Through Blanchimont.
Now this is where you should be patient now, and don't do this.
He's either going to have an accident here, but Essa knows that it's not a problem. Keep that inside line, and Hodgson goes deep every single lap. That's 4 in a row now. Yeah. I think he just loses all of his. He loses everything he's gained, doesn't he? Yeah,
I think the Porsche is just so good coming out of the chicane as well. That's Martin.
If you're in that position, you'd know if you cover the inside line into the bus stops that, I mean, it's just not possible. There's just no way that you get past there.
Okay, so right now in the overall championship, it is Nick Hodgson who is leading Lisher by 12 points as it stands now. Here comes Hodgson with a good drive. Up the Kimmel Straits. Will he go past him?
Side by side, McCombs is going to keep on the inside.
There was contact.
So it gave him room, but he certainly not much more. Barely enough. But there's a demonstration for Nick that if he can just tuck up behind him into the bus stop, that next time he'd probably get it done before he even gets to the end of the Kemmel Straight. Because he not having any difficulty following whatsoever, is he? He's up in the draft down to the bus stop through Blanchemont every single lap. Just lift and stay behind him. Obviously, Clue's now putting up major pressure as well, so Hodgson's got to worry about what's behind him as well as what's in front. It's just holding these two up a little bit.
Got a Ferrari, they're just keeping everyone, the back markers are staying out of it. Good stuff there. Shirazda has just stayed out. He's hoping that the rain's going to come back, but I think if that had to happen, those tyres would be completely finished by then.
Yeah, I think he hopes his car's a snake and it just sheds tyres and grows new ones. I'm not sure what's going on there. He's picked a strategy and he's sticking to it. Yeah. But he's still in fourth position, so Nick Hodgson, don't do it. Stay behind. He can't help himself.
Oh, just might work this time, though. No.
Oh, but he's much tighter.
Contact! He's turned him around.
I think he might want to wait there.
Yeah, he's going to have to.
I think he is waiting. No, S has gone into the pit, so Hodgson's got a little bit let off there. I think he forced the matter a little bit into bus stop. Hodgson's not sure what's happened, is he? He's waiting, but doesn't realise that S has gone into the pit lane.
Yeah. But he did try and wait for S. So
yeah, 100% he definitely tried, and he was probably very, very confused as to what happened to him. But he disappeared in the pit lane before he would ever be able to see. So
yeah, there was sort of an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, just forcing the matter in the one that he was obviously picked a bus stop. That's where I'm going to take him. But I think if he'd tucked behind him, he would have had him at the end of the Kemmel Straight. So that brings the end of that little 5 or 6 lap battle. We shall go hunting through the field to see what else we have available to us. That's just still in the pits, as showing 11th at the moment, but maybe he wasn't liking those tyres or something, so I'm not 100% sure why he'd pit there. Certainly wasn't for damage.
So Judd Watt, no, under pressure there from Van Rensburg, Daniel, just under a second in it.
Yeah, I see that, 9/10.
Suddenly this race has come alive.
Yeah, look at Mark Van Rensburg last lap. It's a 2:21.1, his fastest lap of the race, which is 7/10 quicker than Jadwat. So it's not that Jadwat's made a mistake, it's raw pace from Mark Van Rensburg here in the Bentley. And wait, going nice and wide to let the 2 leaders through. Yeah, so this is not a Jadwat error that's caused this gap to close. This is just relentless pace from Mark Van Rensburg. Jadwat's going to have to pick it up a little bit. Because frankly, what he lost in the last lap is the gap now at 8/10.
Here comes Van Rensburg in the toe. Is it enough though? I don't think so.
I don't think he needs to panic too much though, because he's clearly got the pace. I mean, it's just come from pretty much nowhere really. He's got that Bentley absolutely hooked up. And remember, we saw in qualifying that I'm pretty convinced Jadwat's running a higher aero package, so he needs to really gain distance here in this middle sector, because this was his forte. So he's going to be losing it in first and last.
Well, you say that perhaps that's why you're so quick in the wet, because of the higher downforce setting. And now it's costing him in the dry. You would have hoped that wet spell to be much longer.
I mean, he did get pole position by half a second, so you can't knock him. He's quick everywhere, but it was the middle sector where the majority of his time was coming from. So if Mark van Rensburg can get in the draft of him, especially up the Camel Straight, then for sure he will have an opportunity to pass. Gap down under half a second now. I am loving ATC for the fact that we've had quite a few different winners in this season.
Here comes Van Rensburg, side by side there, sorry Daniel. And I think he's got the job done there. Wow.
I think he's got it in the straight, hasn't he? I don't think Jadwat's got an answer for him. Yeah, already into Blanchimont. Significantly quicker in a straight line, isn't he, Mark van Rensburg? I thought that might be the case. But Jadwat, low aero always wins here in Spa. Yeah. That's been my experience in racing. You can be a lot slower in the middle sector, but it's very, very hard to pass there. The passing opportunities are in the quick stuff, and if you've got a low aero package, even if you're slow, you can cause trouble for those behind because they just can't get past you.
Yeah, this is so exciting for Mark van Rensburg. He's been threatening a victory for a long time now. And yeah, it was great racing against him in the simiGP series a couple of weeks ago, and 2 weeks ago or so. And just great to race with Mark. He's very respectful, but he's firm, and does put pressure on you. And it's great to see him up in the front now.
He's just driving away.
He's gone
already. He's gone.
Yeah. So this Bentley is clearly optimally set up for these conditions, and it's paying dividends now big time. And that gap is quickly going up towards 2 seconds. And so Jadwat's got what, 8 seconds back to Langerveld. It's just about 9 seconds or so. Let's just keep an eye on that gap as well.
I remember the last race I did here in the GP last season, and I had two setups, a high aero setup and a low aero setup, and I could post identical times with both of them. But for the race, I took the low aero setup purely for overtaking, and it makes such a massive difference because just in a hot lap situation, high aeros, you feel way more confident. But as soon as you load the car with fuel and you get into a race, it's difficult to keep those lap times up consistently. Whereas low aero is guaranteed speed down the straight. You never lose it. You can't make a mistake there. You just get it. So it's an advantage in Spa, I think. I've always preferred a low aero package. Mark van Rensburg is just driving away. 1.5 seconds in one lap is his lead already. So we're going to have to work our way through the field and see if we can pick up this thing. We've got 46 drivers, and we often get a little bit caught up at the front, but now we've got some gaps. I'll go hunting and see if I can find anything a bit lower down.
Great idea. Let's go and have a look at Kieran Patterson for the moment. He's currently in 8th position for Patterson Works in the 1-2-3 Ferrari. He's 1.8 seconds behind Nick Hodgson. Battle for 7th.
Strange is I had Jonathan Bentz was in the top 10 in the wet, and he stayed out and hasn't pitted, and he's in 26th position now.
Okay.
I can't quite understand what's going on there. Surely he's on the wrong tyres. But he's significantly further back than the last time I saw him without a pit stop, according to him. He's up right behind Peter Geldenhuys, fighting for 25th position.
Dada still on the wet tyre. He's just lost 2 positions to Hodgson and Kieran Patterson. Of course, we've got 2 Pattersons out on track at the moment, father and son. Kieran and Alan Patterson, of course. And Dada stays out. So he's enjoying how the Bentley's feeling for some reason. I'm just hoping that it's going to rain again. But as I said, those tyres must be completely shot by now.
Yeah, there's a few anomalies, isn't there? I'm not quite sure what Jonathan Bentz is still doing, unless he started on the drive, but I can't believe that's the case. If you're wondering why there's a lot of pink cars on the circuit, I do believe it's Peter Geldenhuys' team, which was it the Sim Racing crew?
Yeah.
I understand it's all for the benefit of Henry Roux, who is having a little daughter at any moment, apparently, in the next few days or week.
Yeah.
So good luck to Henry Roux. That'll be the end of his sim racing career.
Yeah.
Keep your eye out for some Fanatec gear on Gumtree.
Yeah.
I'm sure
it's an unfortunate side effect.
Yeah.
Of a huge,
a little bit less practice time.
A huge reality check, yeah.
You're speaking from experience there, James.
Yes.
Might be dropping down a division is Henry Roux with lack of practice, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the best to him.
One of the reasons why you found me in the Division 2 simiGP series and not this Division 1.
But yeah, just to explain why there's a lot of pink cars going around, might have for some of our viewers thinking that everyone prefers pink. I think it was a bit of a one-off selection. They'll be back to normal colours for the next season, I would have thought. Of course, next season, there's something interesting that's developed in the last week or so, and that is custom liveries have been figured out in ACC.
Yes.
So it's whether we get them figured out enough to use them. What do you think on that? I mean, if they can work, I do believe there's been Kunos developers in Reddit, and they are secretly been saying that all nice custom liveries and not getting upset at all by it, but I don't think they're technically allowed to.
No, it's been quite interesting because this is something I was not expecting at all. I thought that was it, and this is how it's going to be for the rest of the life cycle of ACC. But yeah, Kunos have a bit of a it's they like to help the community out, and I think they've just sort of gone through the back door and said, guys, you can do it like this, just don't say anything.
I think that's what's happened as well. I think they realise the benefit in leagues such as this one, and they're certainly not telling anyone off that's doing it, but they're equally, for the sake of their sponsorship or whatever deal they've signed, not helping out. Formally, put it that way.
This is just the opinion of Daniel and myself, of course, not necessarily the truth.
Just listening to some of the Reddit comments from Kunos developers, that's why I've come up with that opinion.
And interestingly enough, since the update that was released today, because there was a problem when you ran a custom skin, is that if somebody left the race session and came back in, there was a massive stutter, almost so that you would actually almost fall off the circuit if you were on the server driving at the time. And suddenly, since the update today, that has stopped apparently. So,
oh really?
Yes.
So they fixed the bug, but they didn't block the custom skin.
Yeah, so that's seemingly what's happened. And yes, I mean, if that option is still available once 2020.2 gets going, the new season at SimRace South Africa, then yes, we will be entertaining custom liveries.
I think it's the only thing I really see is we did have unbelievably high number of custom liveries. There's also nice lead teams out in their own liveries. I think a lot of people will do it if they can. So we've got a month before the first race of next season.